Alright, so we're going to talk about how to write an equation of a circle today. And we've done that before, but when we've done circles before, they were all in the form like this. We had like x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And we even had them move left or right or up or down and had them look something like this, where we could have some movement left or right, up or down, and then we'd have a radius of squared of like 16. So we would have them in this form. This form of the circle is called standard form. And if you notice when you look at it right here, you can see the vertex or center point of the circle. The center is at +1, -3. And you can see the radius of the circle, which would be at 4. You guys remember doing this a while ago? So today what I'm going to show you how to do is change it from this form, where it's all messed up and messy, to this nice form where we can find the center and radius of the circle. So what I want to do first of all is I want to get the constant number over to the other side all by itself. Okay, so I'm going to add that 11 to the other side of the equation. When I do that, if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to rearrange this side at the same time so that my x's are by each other. Is that okay if I rearrange at the same time? So when I rewrite this, I'm going to go x squared plus 8x. So my x's are together, because do you see how they're right there and they're not by each other? Then I'm going to do my y squared minus my 6y so that they're together. And then I would have it equal to 11. Is everybody okay with how I wrote that out? Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to do something called completing the square. And we've actually done this before. We did it when we were solving parabolas equations. But this time we're going to do it a little bit different because there's two variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a number to add to my x's. And I'm going to find a number to add to my y's. And if I add it to my x's and I add it to my y's, I also have to add it to the opposite side of my equation, because if I change one side of my equation, I have to change my other side of the equation, okay? So does anybody remember when we did this before, how we found this number that we added? Oh, so we took half this middle number and we squared it. So what's half of 8? 4. And what's 4 squared? 16. Okay, the reason that I did that is because we wanted to find something that would factor into a perfect square. Okay, so if we went back and we factored this, what two numbers will multiply to 16 and add to be 8? 4 and 4, right? So I can write this as x plus 4 squared. Do you guys remember doing this before? It's been a while, but we did it, huh? Okay, now can we look at our y's for just a minute? I'm going to take half this middle number, and I only need to worry about the number, not the sign. Half the middle number would be 3, and 3 squared would be 9. So I'm going to add 9 there, and I'm going to factor it to a perfect square. So what multiplies to 9 and adds to -6? Exactly, -3 and -3. Do you see how beautiful this is looking already? Like it's a circle now, right? So the only thing I need to do is, because I added 16 to this side, I need to add 16 to that side. And I added 9 to this side, so I need to add 9 to that side. And then over here, I'm going to have my radius squared as my part of my equation. So 11 plus 16 plus 9 is how much? 36. So if I were to take and graph this circle, I would go left 4, up 3, and my radius would be 6. You guys remember graphing those before? Okay, so what we did here was called completing the square. And in order to do it again, just to recap, we have to have our constant number on one side, everything else on the other side. We moved our x's together, our y's together, so we could add those numbers to both sides. You following me? We're doing all right? Okay, number 2 then, same thing, but it's a little bit messier, because do you see how my constant is over here like I need it to be, but that 30y needs to be on this side, right? So what do I do to get that negative 30y over to the side I need it on? I add it. Very nice. So again, when I rewrite this, are you guys okay if I write my like terms, my x's all together and my y's all together, so I'm not getting confused with what I have? So tell me how I should rewrite this. It should be x squared. Then I should go plus 20x, right? I'm going to leave a little bit of space there because now we know we're going to be adding some numbers there, right? And I'm going to do my y squared, and then I'm going to do plus 30y. And I know that's going to be equal to a negative 316. Now again, just like the last problem, I'm going to add a number here. I'm going to add a number here, which means I'm adding two numbers over here, because if I do it to one side of my equation, I have to do it to the other side. So what's the number I'm adding here? 100. Yeah, 100. Very nice. And what number am I adding here? Or do you want to finish this part? Oh, 225, because it's 15 squared, which is 225. If I add it here and here, I have to add it over here. So I'm adding 100 and 225 to the other side. Okay, now I'm going to look at these and I'm going to factor those first three together. What perfect square trinomial does that perfect square trinomial, what does it factor to be? X plus 10, very nice. And what do my y's factor to be? A hint from Mrs. Clark, it always factors to half that middle number. Do you see how half of that was 10? So half of this would be 15, so plus 15 squared. Then add all those numbers together on the other side, and what do you get? I think it's 9. Did you guys get 9? Because this would be 325 minus 316, which would have to be 9. Okay? So again, that's called completing the square, and you two seem pretty good at it. Nice job. All right, write the equation of the circle with the given radius and center. So if my center is 3, 4, does anybody remember how we plug that back into our equation? X. Okay, so if it's plus 3 in here, then it would come out as a minus 3. So what do I have to have inside here? Yeah, a minus 3 to bring it out as a positive. And then my y is going to be minus 4, so that when it comes out of the parentheses, it comes out as a positive. And then if my radius is 7, this part over here has always been my radius squared. So just to rewrite that one more time, that will be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 49, because 7 squared is 49. Questions on that? All right, this next one then, minus 5, what are they going back in as? Yes, positive 5s for sure. So they go back in as positive 5s, and then what's my radius squared? Do you guys know what the square root of 3 squared is? Yeah, just punch it in your calculator if you don't know. It is the number 3. So that is my equation for this circle. Okay, questions on that? All right, write the new equation of the circle if a translation takes place. I want to move it left 2 and up 4. Now think about this for just a minute. If I'm moving left, how do I show left inside here? Wouldn't it be plus 2? Because I always do the opposite of what the sign is, right? So if I do plus 2 inside here, then I would be moving left. So I know I'm going to be moving plus 2 from this number. And if I'm moving up inside parentheses, that would be a minus 4. So help me figure out my new numbers. I would have 2 and a minus 4 here. So my new number would be, yeah, minus 2. And my new number here would be minus 1 for my new equation. Did I confuse you on that? Are you okay? Because remember how it goes the opposite inside the, so if you're moving left, it would be a plus inside here. If you're moving up, it would be a minus sign in here because we would go the opposite direction of the sign. Okay? All right, one more problem on the back right here, and it has us looking at these two circles. It says write the equation of the original solid circle. So my original circle is this one right here. In order to write the equation, I need the center and I need the radius. The center of that circle is the ordered pair 6, 5. Do you guys agree with me on that? And how much is the radius? 3. So I'm going to come and write my equation for that. If these are both positive numbers, what do they go into my equation as? Negatives. Good. And then it's equal to my radius squared. If my radius is 3, then I'm going to put 3 squared, which is the number 9. Okay. Is everybody all right with how I got that equation? All right, we need to do the same thing for the dotted circle now. It says write the equation of the dotted circle. So my ordered pair is 8, 8. And my radius is 1. So if these are both positive 8s, how do they go inside my formula? They go inside as minus 8s. And then if my radius is 1, it would be 1 squared, but 1 squared is still 1. Okay, so now it's going to ask me some questions about my original one, which is the solid one, moving to my littler one, which is the dotted one. It says, describe how the circle was translated from the original solid circle to the new dotted one. From the original to the new one, did we go left or right? We went right? From the big one to the little one. So I look at the center. How did I get from this center to that center? I went left 3 and up 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So I would be left here, and then I would be up here. And then the dilation says, how do I get from my big circle to my little circle? When we're talking dilations and we start with a radius of 3 and we go to a radius of 1, what did I multiply by to get from 3 to 1?
1/3.
Yeah, exactly that. I multiplied by 1/3 to get from the big one to the little one. So my dilation or my scale factor would be 1/3. So it's still the same as divide by 3, but we talk about a scale factor as a number we multiply by. And then the last one says, is the original circle similar to the new circle? Well, if we could find that dilation number, we know for sure it was similar, right? But I think we talked about already in a different class about a week ago that every circle is similar to every other circle because the only thing that changes is you multiply the radius by a dilation factor and it will get you a bigger or smaller circle. So anytime I ask you if your circles are similar, your answer is going to be yes.